First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BBE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you could never really know what's up next.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for Up Next. You found us at postwrestling.com, here at the Post Wrestling podcast feed, Spotify, Apple, whatever it is that you are using. And it's Monday, June 29th, 11 a.m. And we are
live on youtube.com slash Post Wrestling. Hello, YouTube room. How are we doing? Get the at out.
Get the at out. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Hello. How are you doing? A rare Monday morning hangout with the BDE lads, with the Poisonrana, with the NXT friends.
Friends, yes, we've got a lot to get through today. If you are watching live, we are going to be talking all about last night's NXT, The Great American Bash. We'll be talking all about that here on youtube.com slash post wrestling, and will be in your podcast feeds right now as you're listening to it. But if you are joining us live today, join us right after, immediately after, on the other channel. Just skip across to youtube.com slash @PoisonRanaPod, where we'll be talking about all the other wrestling that happened this weekend, except for TNA, as we talk about Forbidden Door and Night of Champions. So that will be available on the Poisonrana podcast feed and live on YouTube. So as soon as we finish this NXT review, we are going to be hopping across to the other channel. So please join us.
What do you mean we're not talking about TNA? Did I watch Slammiversary for no reason? Did I wake up at a godly, ungodly?
I don't know how, and I don't believe you. I don't know
Davey,
when you'd have watched Slammiversary between leaving mine last night for Forbidden Door and doing this podcast this morning, and fitting in NXT.
You're saying you haven't watched all the wrestling from this weekend? I think you need to watch more TNA. I think you need to watch more of the product to really. Okay, I didn't watch it either. Okay, I didn't watch it either. There was so much wrestling to talk about, and yeah, a huge weekend. This feels like a really big. Every other weekend feels like a really big weekend, but this was a good weekend for wrestling fans all over. So yes, as Davey said, right after we're done here talking about Great American Bash, flip on over to Poisonrana. If you've not followed us or you're not familiar with us, yes, we cover NXT here at Post Wrestling, but we have our own feed, Poisonrana Pod. Search us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, Spotify, whatever you use. Give us a follow and check out all the other content that we do, including tons of stuff on our Instagram that we're trying to get popping off. So a follow and a little heart and a like goes such a long way. But we will talk all about Sami Zayn, Night of Champions, Forbidden Door, everything over on Poisonrana Live just after we talk about some Great American Bash. So if you haven't checked out all our other stuff, give us a follow. It goes a long way. And like I said, we have tons of free shows where we talk about all the other wrestling in the world. And boy, this was a crazy weekend. I'm still recovering from just yesterday of all the wrestling that I have watched over the last 24 hours, including this morning, to make sure I was caught up on everything. So yeah, Poisonrana.ca for links of everything that we do, including our Patreon. I know it's Great American Bash, but we just reviewed a retro Great American Bash with WCW Great American Bash 1996, featuring the Giant versus Lex Luger, Sting, who does a bit of his own bashing, versus William Regal. I'm trying to think of what else was on this really bad Great American Bash, but here are all our thoughts on this, plus King of the Ring 1996, our Jackass movie review, and Was Next, our retro NXT reviews that we do as well. So many shows on our Patreon.com/Poisonrana. It's $5. You get hundreds podcasts. I think we're going to be doing a retro TNA show this week as well on the review as picked by a patron. So tons of content that seem to always tie in with everything. I know people are hyped about Jackass, so we did the old movie. We have a Great American Bash retro review, Retro King of the Ring. We got you covered with all the pods for those long drives and hot showers.
Yes, this week, world champion patron Andrew McDonald has picked TNA Impact from January 29th, 2009. And this is the episode where the main event mafia take over, whatever that means. We'll be talking all about that. I think we're going to have a TNA-centric month as we have Dark Side of the Ring coming. And but yes, we will never be talking about last night's Slammiversary.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second. So we are talking about TNA.
Or how we're going to watch it. But some old TNA we can go and ridicule instead. But yeah, we've got a lot to get through. So I think we should get right into it. The Great American Bash taking place last night on Sunday, the 28th of June, 2026. And we are at the PC and we're kicking things off with Vic and Wade on the call. Booker T still away. And at one point on the show, I don't know if you caught this, I think it was as Lola was doing her hip attack. Vic said, Booker, wherever he is going giggity. So they're being quite inconspicuous with his absence. Where is Booker? But
let the man vacation, okay? Let him take his time off. Are we complaining Booker T is away? I do kind of miss him, but maybe he just wanted a break from NXT. We get that way too, but Wade and Vic is a weird combo because Wade tries to play the heel bully, but Vic is Vic is too slick for that shit. Vic is like Vic has his comebacks he's pretty smart. He's pretty quick with it.
I find as well Vic is like, you are the guest in my house. So
don't
talk to me that way. You know,
So
I'm leading you through this show. So
I think that kind of ruffled ruffled Wade's feathers between this and the last week's episode, but specifically here, I forget what match, but Wade is like, he gets all flustered and then just goes, you know what, Vic, you're just garbage. You're a piece of garbage. And I'm like, clearly they're boys and they're messing around. But Vic definitely getting a rise out of him here. But so those are our commentators. But what about the cookout? The NXT Great American Bash barbecue that they did here outside the Performance Center. Now, it looked a little rainy from some fan footage that I watched on TikTok. But hopefully the weather was okay for the glizzies. We had Sean Legacy cooking up the glizzies. We had all the wrestlers who maybe weren't wrestling on tonight's show hanging out with some fans. I think they had a screen out there for people to watch if you weren't inside as well. So that's
it was like
cool.
a watch party. You had Kevin Owens and like Dave LaGreca out there. Owens wearing a Waylon Mercy t-shirt. Weird announcement, him being involved. I'm a big fan of Kevin Owens. I wasn't a big fan of him on this show.
It was weird.
I felt he seemed maybe not quite up to speed with what's going on and was making some very half-assed opinions throughout the show. I thought, as always, some funny one-liners and things, but just weird way to have him considering we haven't seen him for quite a while. I guess LFG is sort of his tie to NXT right now, but I wasn't as impressed with Owens as I thought I would be on this show.
Let's clarify that we're huge Kevin Owens fans and we miss him. Absolutely. And we want him back, and especially this stuff with Sami Zayn and him even tweeting that he was upset that he wasn't able to be there for Sami's big moment. I thought he was a little misplaced here. I know he loves wearing his funny t-shirts and his shorts and his Zubaz or whatever, but he just looked like he rolled out of bed and showed up here. And I'm like, okay, I'm not asking you to wear a suit or anything, or at least that shirt with the suit that he always used to wear. But it just seemed it came across that he couldn't be asked to be there. And I don't know if he was attempting to do that or just it did come across that he's like, I have to be here because they asked me to. So it kind of came across that.
It was basically every question who do you think is going to win this match? And someone would say Kendal Grey. So he goes, oh, well, I think it's Lola Vice. He would just, that would basically be his opinions. Whatever you think, I'll go the opposite. But yeah, this cookout looked a little better than OTM and little JJ's the other week.
Right.
I don't know if it was as good as ours, to be honest.
No, we had quite the cookout.
Golden Graham doing quite the barbecue last night.
We had quite a little barbecue, a little cookout of our own. Go Canada in the World Cup. We all got together, watched the World Cup. Canada won, and then we went on the rooftop, had some burgers. Costco, shout out Costco, shout out Reckless Rob for the Costco run. And then we had a lot of boys hanging out, and we were eating some sausages. We didn't have the glizzies this time, but we had the burgers, and they were good. So our cookout was good too. I wonder if any fans enjoyed some of the food. What NXT stars do you think would actually be good at? Like, I trust Sean Legacy when I watch him wrestle, but I don't know how good he is on the grill. So hopefully,
I don't know. Legacy Burgers has a nice ring to it, though.
Legacy Burgers, yeah. Okay. Legacy Links, right?
Yep.
If he was holding down the glizzies, yeah. I feel like Hank and Tank know how to do what they could probably grill some meat, right? I trust them.
I trust Hank and Tank with a barbecue. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Well, you were all invited to the NXT cookout here. I think this is pretty cool, especially maybe some fans couldn't get tickets. Like, the PC is a small place, and maybe like once the tickets are gone, maybe people just being able to take in the atmosphere. I think that's a cool thing. They used to do it for some of the original takeovers or the PLEs that were at Full Sail. They would do these outside kind of hangouts, and they sell merch and have wrestlers hanging out with people. So I do think that's a good way for the up and coming wrestlers to also connect with fans as well. So this is a cool little thing.
Absolutely. This is the first premium live event to happen on TV. It was on the CW network. Interesting experience, because this is on Netflix for us. So obviously we're not getting the commercial breaks. But because they timed majority of the commercial breaks during the matches,
of course,
this in a way felt longer than the regular like Netflix PLEs, because for us there was kind of less to skip through. Does that make sense to you? It kind of felt like a longer 3-hour episode of NXT, but definitely like less commercials to fast forward than I found I normally had when it was on just regular Netflix.
So because we're in Canada with the Netflix, I still felt I was seeing a lot of commercials, and the Netflix commercials, the WWE commercials, but I found it weird that they chose to make every break, or at least it seemed for us, at least watching early this morning, that they go to break pretty much during every big match. And I mean, for us, it doesn't necessarily, it goes quiet for a few minutes when they throw to the break, and then it kind of just comes back like seamlessly. But I don't know, it's still annoying. I could imagine if you're watching on the CW, like, this doesn't necessarily feel like a pay-per-view or a PLE if you're going to break in between everything. And I know that's such an ongoing thing that I definitely complained about in the past, but when I watch soccer or baseball and they go up for a swing or a kick towards the net, they don't go, "Oh, hold that thought, we'll be right back." So like go to break before the bell rings, in between the entrances or something. I'm not sure, but like I feel like that may have pissed some people off. But during the Netflix viewing, it didn't necessarily, other than some quiet. So at least we see it flawless, I guess, the full match. I don't know how others viewed it, but yeah.
We open things up right away with Tony D'Angelo facing Naraku for the NXT Championship. And things get off to a hot start. Naraku grabs a chair immediately, and Tony spears him right through the perch to kick off things. The boys eventually get back to their feet and get to the ring, and Naraku is immediately attacking the eye that was injured from the fireball angle last week on NXT. Referee is about to stop the match because Tony is incapacitated from this eye injury, but Tony tells him, "Do not stop anything." They're fighting back on the outside, and Naraku hits an everything is evil to the side of the apron, and then a snap suplex to the turnbuckle to Tony D'Angelo. Naraku then launches Tony against the barricade, mounts Tony on the top rope with the 10 punches, but D'Angelo catches him with a big powerbomb, starts fighting back with a series of German suplexes, goes for the dead to rights, but this gets countered with a German suplex, and then Tony kind of Ishii style here, no sells, hulks up, and hits the dead to rights one-handed spinebuster to win and retain the NXT title in 10 minutes, 13 seconds.
Pretty impressive. He did this with one eye.
Yeah.
Considered his face was all wrapped up here. I just can't get. I've been, the image of him. Image of him still wearing this bandaged eye, but not even just an eye patch. I think we were calling for eye patch tone this Sunday night, but instead he just still came out with like the wrapped
bandage.
Up. Yeah, I don't know
blood
if I'm just
oozing
weird.
out.
Yeah, the picture from last Tuesday of him with the bandage and the blood, I just been sending that to people, even like non-wrestling fans with no context. Just like, people are like, what is this, a horror movie? I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. You know what? You mentioned the Ishii power-up spot. I guess Tony did a little, tape watching to get ready to face this former IWGP champion right here, Evil. There was some cool stuff in this match. I got to get the paper wall out of the way. I know it's a classic NXT spot, but is that not a hallway right there? I could finally see the camera showed it, and I'm like, wait a second. This whole time the paper wall is just blocking another entrance into this little room, this warehouse. I'm like, okay, cool. We'll go with it. I wasn't necessarily expecting a whole much from this. There were some cool moves, but ultimately it came across as a pretty basic TV match. I think Naraku looked better in his match with Mason Rook on TV a few weeks ago, but I guess doing the eye angle was a way to try to heat this up, but I just didn't buy that Naraku was winning this. Tony D is kind of a cold champion, so much that they told us that this wasn't going to be the main event. In fact, this was going to open the show, and like I didn't necessarily get too into it, but I am interested in, like, I think it's more interesting that Tony retained so that we can go to the Mason Rook match down the line, if that makes sense. I'm more interested in seeing him be our main eventer than like an Evil or Naraku here. So I don't know. What'd you think?
I like the pace of the match. I think because they were short on time, it meant that they worked at a higher intensity. Like you skipped all the like walking around slow pace build of the opening of the match, and I thought starting with the paper wall perch was actually a pretty effective idea. It kind of got things off to a bang. I thought Naraku should have won this. I think especially with the injury angle to Tony. I've kind of enjoyed his presentation so far on NXT. It's been campy, it's been ridiculous, but it's worked, and I've already found it way more entertaining than Evil ever was. But you kind of debut this guy as this like evil man who's come and he's a former IWGP champion, and he's injured his opponent and then just
still can't
loses
win
in 10 minutes. It kind of just it weakens him immediately, right. I find. So I'd have preferred this to be a Naraku win. Maybe you can do the rematch once Tony's eye is a bit more healed. I think Naraku could have done more dastardly stuff to win this, and then build to Mason Rook taking it off Naraku. But I thought it was fine. I think opening the show kind of did maybe tip you off that it wasn't going to be a title change here. I thought it was all right. I wonder where you go here with Naraku, because it was a pretty definitive win from D'Angelo here.
Yeah, the gimmick before we got to the announcement of this match was he was like, I want to be your protector so that no one else can take this from you, so that I can. And then we just went to the match anyways, and he loses. So like now, what is this storyline? So I wonder, are we getting any more ex-New Japan or ex-Japan stars showing up in NXT? Like, will he have some backup?
Teased it, didn't they? They teased it the other week that like, oh, I'm doing this on my own. So maybe that does call for a rematch where he does have the backup and he gets it on the second attempt.
Could you imagine up-and-coming superstar Naito debuts in the Performance Center?
God. No, I couldn't.
I would say maybe like who else is on that list of like who are gone? Is it Takahashi? Right?
Yeah, Hiromu. Yeah.
He could be cool in WWE. That would be interesting. But I don't know.
Yeah.
This made me go, why didn't they go with him? But at the same time, I watched the match and I realized it's because he's Borne. he's boring. He's still evil wrestling, just with a different name. But like, I'm glad we didn't go with him winning, because I want to go to Mason Rook. Let's go to that. Like, get him the champion, and let's get a new NXT. And honestly, I think week by week, I think the aura, or whatever you want to call it, of Tony D slips away week by week. Like, am I alone on that? Like, we love Tony D, but like something's not working with this character. And we pushed through like, oh, this new version of him, it's going to work. And they strapped him up because like, who else do we have? But yeah, I don't know about this.
I don't think he's got layers to his character. You know, when he was the Italian mobster, it was pretty two-dimensional, and like, it was funny, it was entertaining. Yeah. And now I feel the same with this serious, broody version of him. I think we need to see a bit more light and shade in the character. We need to see him have that passionate babyface promo where it's all just a bit grey right now and a little bit too serious. So I'd like to see him find some nuances and layers to his character.
Like, a question they need to ask: what is his character? Right? Can you explain your character in 5 words, or so? Like, I don't think former mob boss turned serious like guy. It's like, okay,
yeah,
that's your character. All right, I guess. But yeah, it felt like a TV match here, so it wasn't necessarily the hot match I wanted to get off and running. But I understand why they maybe stuck with Tony D.
We go right to our next match. It's for the NXT Women's North American Championship. Zaria defending her title against the former champion in Tatum Paxley. Tatum comes dressed as a schoolgirl or a waitress or something here.
Waitress, yeah. I feel like this is
like a wedding, dining, like fine dining waitress.
Apparently, it's Kakugiryu. Sorry, I butchered that right now. She posted like this video. I think it's some anime thing, because she posted a video of this costume right before the match and said, "Let's get our gamble freak on." So Kakeguru gear. Okay, I don't know, but anime fans, I'm sure, will know what this is. What she was doing, the Sonic thing a few weeks ago with the bat thing. So yeah, she loves dressing up. But yeah, very anime, or almost what's that movie where all the kids on the island killing each other? Kind of looks
Battle
like
Royale.
Yeah, kind of look like that too.
So they have a tug of war over the North American Championship to start with kind of Patsy pulling Zaria into her with a headbutt. Zaria comes back with a discus clothesline and then suplexes and shoulder rams in the corner. Zaria then throws Tatum into the crowd, but Tatum leaps right back up onto the barricade and onto Zaria's back with a sleeper hold. And the only way Zaria can break this is by falling backwards on the floor, squashing Tatum, and then following up with a senton. This is the classic break of the sleeper hold, but look kind of painful here, being on the outside of the ring. Mm-hmm. We then get Paxley getting Zaria up on the top rope and super kicks her, followed by a superplex. Zaria, however, rolls through and follows up with a big spear, but doesn't make the cover. Both are fighting up on the top rope again, and Zaria gets caught with the Tree of Woe. Tatum climbs on the other side, and I almost thought she was going to go for Kevin Knight's coast to coast to the Tree of Woe here, but Zaria sits up and pulls that stupid face she does where she's, "Oh, I'm angry and mean." So they start trading blows on the apron. We get a pump kick from Zaria, and then Tatum counters with a sunset powerbomb to the floor. And then Tatum looks over at the title that's now positioned on a stand, and she's looking at it and starting to cry as she sees her former love. Zaria goes to use the title on Tatum, but Tatum ducks it, hits the cemetery drive on the floor, rolls Zaria into the ring, hits cemetery drive again, but Zaria kicks out, goes for the F5, but Tatum rolls through. However, Zaria follows up with a spear. 1, 2, Tatum kicks out, and then Zaria grabs both arms behind Tatum's back and stomps her head into the mat, followed up with a huge F5, and retains the title in 14 minutes, 8 seconds.
I'd say this was maybe one of Zaria's best outing. I think Tatum is a good opponent where she can kind of bounce around and make Zaria look like the menacing, monster that she's trying to get over with this character. But I think they had a good back and forth. There was some cool suplexes, like that superplex into where Tatum like lands on her feet or rolls through, but then Zaria gets up and just spears her. I felt like they were doing the Osprey swerve kickouts on some of the big moves in this match. I know this was a shorter match, but they were doing their finishes and kicking out of it, which I think the Performance Center were biting on, especially towards the end. But I think Zaria needs to have matches where she looks stronger. We've been saying just push her like Goldberg and do squash matches, but doing matches like this actually would help her. Like Tatum is a bit of a sleeper hit on NXT. I know she has her fans, especially when you watch from the PC, like they're really into her for the last like what seems like a year now. And I do feel like she's someone that you forget how she's good and she makes other people look really good, because Zaria can be this kind of boring, pretty simple character, right? Like you said, she just growls and mean and stuff, but the cat's already out the bag because we've seen her do TikToks and stuff with Soul, and now she's trying to go back to being this monster, but she's kind of boring. Whereas she fights someone like Tatum, it gets a little bit more explosive and stuff. So I'd say this is one of the more interesting Zaria matchups that we've seen so far. And Tatum, I don't know where she's done everything here in NXT at this point. I wonder if she's somewhat soon on the call-ups. And I think the style of how she dresses and like the cosplaying, and I don't know, like the NXT's resident goth girl or emo girl, whatever, I think could translate maybe to the main roster. At least her wrestling could, because I do think she's steps above some of the people, even on the main roster, I would say, at this point. Zaria, I'm still like, okay, but she needs to fight people like this, where when she throws people around that she can't really throw around, it doesn't look impressive, but she was throwing Tatum around, so it did look good. So I'd say this is maybe my second favorite match on this show. It wasn't my favorite, but I still was way more impressed than I thought I was going to be.
Yeah, there was some hard-hitting stuff in this. Like, a lot of the stuff on the floor looked pretty painful. Not just that, like, backdrop senton, but the sunset powerbomb and all that. Like, they seem to, like, beat the shit out of each other in this match in a good way. I could just do with a bit less of the melodrama from both of them. I think, and especially with the promo later, Tatum crying all the time about losing the title. I like seeing people affected that they've had a loss. I don't like the whole, like, New Day, oh, I lost the WWE Championship. Oh, well, let's move on and smile and be happy. I don't like that, but I think I don't want to see whiny either. And Tatum's borderline getting there with a lot of the crying and almost looking at the title like it was Gollum's precious ring and stuff like that. It was a little too much to me, and Zaria's facials are a little too much for me as well. But I do think Tatum's a good babyface, and I thought they had a pretty strong match here. And yeah, what is next for Tatum? Because we've told the story of her losing the title before,
underdog.
So it's not something I'm really interested in seeing again. So if you're not moving her up yet, like, they need to have something fresh for her to do.
Just every time she's been put, think back to the culling, pour one out. She's like, it was a project that worked and really helped her get over it, more so than Izzy, more so than so I do think she's like slowly proved her worth, and to the point where I think she should be called up at this point. Like, I do think that she could potentially become a star in WWE, genuinely do. And I think I was a little slow to, I think we always saw that she was pretty decent. I think back to what the Diamond Mine stuff, right?
Yeah.
That was her, right? And we always were like, hey, you know what? There's something there for sure. But I'd say recently, I don't think she needs NXT anymore. NXT needs her maybe, but she doesn't need NXT anymore.
I mean, she predates 2.0, right? Like, she's been there. It must be coming up for 5 years, I feel, at this point.
Wow, really?
I
remember
think so,
2.0 because it's the Diamond Mine and the
was
Creeds.
Diamond Mine 2.0?
I think
I thought
so.
it was just before that. Yeah, she's been there since 2001, which sorry, 2021, not 2001, 2021. So 5 years. Yeah, it's really at this point. whether
she's
there's
been both
room on
champs.
the main roster or not. But yeah, she's done everything really.
She's done everything you can do here in NXT. So like, yeah, I think put her on the main roster.
Maybe with now it would be a shift of character, but maybe with Lyra being a heel now, you pair them back up together, or you pair her with Bailey. You know, you as the baby face to go against heel Lyra, perhaps. Right.
It's
like a good transition in.
And as for Zaria, she needs to have a long run with this. In fact, like do TV defenses where you are jobbing people, and then the PLEs is when you can have the opponents like actually putting up a fight, like we saw here today.
We see Wren Sinclair and Kendal Grey backstage as it's a huge night for both of them, as Wren is going to defend her speed title and Kendal is challenging for the NXT Women's Championship. And Wren's overcome with emotion. She's saying, "Oh, you're gonna cry, and then I'm gonna cry." And Kendall's like, "Let's be serious for a moment. You built Wren QCC with just the two of us, and we're both gonna win tonight." Wren tells Kendal that she isn't the future, she is the now.
Yeah.
We then cut to Vanity Project with Robert Stone, who Vanity Project say, "Now you want to talk to us, Stone, but we don't want to talk to you because you missed out on putting your biggest stars on the show, the first CW PLE." And Stone goes, "Oh, you think you're the biggest stars, right? Well, how about I book some matches for you on Tuesday's NXT?" And he makes a tag match, which is the Vanity Project defending the titles against El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. and Gelano, and a singles match between Jackson Drake and Mason Rook.
Oh, damn. That sounds pretty good. Jackson Drake and Mason Rook. That's awesome. I think that's going to be a show stealer for sure. But I love the Vanity Project guys. They kind of are kayfabe right here, considering they're our favorites to watch on Tuesdays, and they weren't featured on the PLE. It's funny because on Tuesday it was like the Luchadors are coming, and that was it. There was like that one throwaway line where he's like, "I gotta call the Luchadors." It's like, okay. And they didn't show up tonight, but they are gonna show up on Tuesday. So there you go. Two, I'd say, solid matches coming up on Tuesday's NXT. But I do love the Vanity Project, so I agreed with them.
We see Kevin Owens at the tailgate, parking lot, watch party.
Be careful.
And
it's a parking lot.
Yeah. He makes a joke that Tony might not ever get his eye back and says he's looking forward to seeing what Tristan Angels does next. And the crowd boos Tristan Angels. And he goes, "No, I worked with him on LFG. He's good. He's good. Trust me."
Yeah. Kevin Owens, very familiar with the NXT parking lot, right? He kind of started it. Hideo Itami, such a shame.
Oh, what a shame. Yeah, such a shame.
Yeah. Never forget.
We go to our next match, Tristan Angels versus Shiloh Hill. This is kind of unofficially for Shiloh Hill's Mr. NXT sash that Tristan stole from him.
It's for the Mr. NXT sash. Yeah, it is.
It's for we got rid of the Heritage Cup and replaced it with a sash.
This is more interesting. Yeah. No rounds to worry about.
Shiloh sends Angels to the floor, and Angels kind of looks a little rattled and shook by this. Tristan drapes Shiloh in the rope, starts clubbing the back, and then hits a double stomp to the chest. We get a kind of Shankly Gates arm submission here from Tristan as the USA chants start. Tristan then sidesteps Shiloh and starts attacking his arm and applies the submission again. And this is where Shiloh then hides under the ring, and then drags. We see the arms come out and drag Tristan under the ring as Tristan is under there. And for the first time, maybe ever, we have a camera under the ring. I think is hell, right? Kayfabe wise, under the ring is known as the depths of hell. So a phone starts ringing. So Tristan answers it, and I don't know if I heard this correct, but you hear this voice in like a,
voice
changer app going, he's saying the fall is coming?
The fall is coming?
That's what I heard. What did you hear?
I couldn't make out what it was saying.
Okay.
It was pretty jumbly. I just kept thinking. Like, it reminded me of that movie, The Black Phone. I think that's what they were going for, right? That there was this phone that
something like that,
like someone was on the other line, right?
So I thought he was saying the fall is coming, the fall is here, as who we assume is Shiloh Hill appears behind him in a Jason mask and starts choking him out. Tristan escapes, but then Shiloh Hill appears from the outside attacking Tristan with
just like
a
Jason
leap off the
Voorhees.
ring. Yeah,
like my one complaint of all the Friday movies, the Friday 13 movies, is Jason just magically teleports all the time. Well, here he is doing the same thing. It's because he's a ghost, I guess. But so is Shiloh Hill, maybe.
Shiloh leaps off the ring steps for a clothesline, but Tristan moves out the way. And then Tristan adjusts the steps so they're more like central to the apron and goes to suplex Shiloh out of the ring on top of them. But Shiloh blocks this but Tristan comes back, throwing Shiloh throat first into the ropes. Shiloh then pulls his tooth out, but it gets smacked out of his hand. Tristan goes for a big top rope elbow drop, but Shiloh rolls out the way. Shiloh then sticks his tooth in Tristan's mouth and knocks him down. Very gross. Shiloh then runs up the steps and hits a spear through the ropes, leaps off the top rope, but eats a code breaker. And then they're fighting on the top, and Shiloh Hill delivers an avalanche whisper of the beast. There we go. For the win and getting back his sash in 13 minutes, 7 seconds.
I did like the finish there. That whisper of the beast off the top rope looks a whole lot. That is a super finisher right there from Shiloh Hill. So I did like that. Tristan Angels has some pretty, I think both guys have maybe kind of basic move sets, but Shiloh is always doing things that make him feel eccentric or zany, like that senton that's inverted that he does, and his move set's kind of weird. That kind of matches his character's vibe, right? Whereas Tristan does remind me of Hunter Hearst Helmsley, like the way he presents himself and maybe even wrestles. There was some cool stuff in this match. Again, that finish was nice. I don't know how I feel about the under the ring thing. I think it took me completely out of it. And I thought it was a little too hokey for me. Again, I get that Shiloh's character is the weird guy, but as soon as it happened, I was like, oh, the match stopped for me essentially. And then obviously we go back to it, but it did remind me of the Black Phone. I do think they're maybe trying to incorporate some sort of weird horror movie elements to his character, right? He's referenced the dark web and stuff before, but I don't know. How did you feel? I think we've seen Hornswoggle go under there before, maybe DX or something. But how do you feel about the under the ring?
Well, I wonder if Tristan's then going to complain that it was a DQ because it wasn't Shiloh under the ring. It was someone else, maybe. This reminded me of old pay-per-views, old WWE pay-per-views. Think when the takeovers started and we kind of had that formula of just five bangers and all the titles on the line. And then main roster PLEs have kind of moved towards that as well. But gone are the days of just having lower mid-card matches on PLEs. Just your somewhat comedic characters or lower stakes matches. That's kind of gone. But with this show being 7 matches, it afforded to have this. And in a way, I kind of miss those days. Some sort of more inconsequential, just a bit of fun
hog pen match.
Yeah,
as we said, we need to go to these two in a hog pen match eventually. I mean, Shiloh Hill at Halloween Havoc will be great, right? Because that fits his. Yeah, he could be the host of it this year. This.
So for that and taking it from that, I didn't mind the hokiness of it, and I think both their character work is pretty good. But I wouldn't say either are bad wrestlers. I think Shiloh has shown a lot more than I thought he was capable of. But wouldn't necessarily class this as a banger either. But I was entertained, I'd say.
I had a great laugh because after the match, again, Vic Joseph, Wade Barrett kind of bumping heads purposely. Wade's trying to be the cheeky heel and probably being oh, Shiloh cheated or something. And Vic mentions, hey, Wade, do you think Tristan Angels could have been in the League of Nations?
He brings up. I think he brings up Nexus Core and League of Nations, and Wade's no one wants to be in the Core or the League of Nations.
Yeah, the League of Nations
like,
might be one of the
maybe,
worst.
but...
Maybe like name a worse stable than the League of Nations. Like, I don't know if you can. Like,
terrible. The Social Outcasts, they were pretty bad as well.
They had better stuff than Bow Rider.
Fair.
Done. Thread.
Yeah.
Done.
Fair.
3 count, better than League of Nations. The Union, better than the League of Nations.
Emily Agard interviews Shiloh Hill after the match as he has his sash back and is very excited about that. He says he feels relieved. He says Tristan Angels is everything he doesn't want to be. He says, I'm not pretty, polished, or perfect, but I'm getting better by the day, and it's good to be Mr. NXT again.
Love it. I genuinely think that I genuinely think Shiloh is like improving, and like I do think maybe down the line he could be something here in NXT and WWE. Like the wrestling is definitely picking up for sure. So
we see Natalia or Natty backstage with Nikita Lyons, Carmen Petrovic, and this is Layla Diggs.
Yeah, but I need to correct you. WWE Evolve Women's Champion Nikita Lyons.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Make sure you get that right.
Yes.
Haters.
They're congratulating Natty on having the world record, the Guinness World Record for most submission wins in wrestling. And she's like, yeah, everyone's tapped out to my sharpshooter. Sure, Natty. And she says, if you want to get better, you got to listen to me. And Nikita was listening to me, and now she's Evolve Women's Champion. And Carmen is killing it in AAA. And Layla, you're doing well too. And Natty says, and it's women like you why I don't want soft people in my locker room like Jada Parker. And Layla says, oh, well, you know, the locker room can be tough. So maybe give Jada a bit of a break as they kind of give her a bit of a death stare here. So I imagine we'll be getting Diggs and Natty down the line.
I like Natty's Stu Hart Dungeon shirt that she was wearing. I guess the Dungeon, I know her and Tyson Kidd like do the training and stuff, but I know there's been like a Dungeon like clothing line or something as well, because I've seen other wrestlers wear, and it's pretty cool looking stuff as well. Like again, outside of WWE, I think Natty and Tyson Kidd are training a lot of people right now. A lot of up and coming wrestlers are getting some help from the learnings of the Dungeon that has trickled down through the grapevine. But it's cool to see that.
We see EK Prosper, who goes into Mr. Stone's office and says, look, I beat Keanu Carver and then he attacked me after. I can't let him get away with that. I need to get my lick back. And Stone is like, hey, like maybe you don't want to be involved with EK, like after what he did to you.
With Keanu,
but you did win the match. Sorry, with Keanu. But you did win the match, and therefore you have earned yourself a title match, and it will be this Tuesday against El Hijo del Vikingo, which sounds awesome.
Yeah, another banger added to this upcoming episode of NXT. Honestly, this episode's kind of sounding better than this whole PLE itself, to be quite honest. I'm pretty sure I said my end game of NXT at next year's Stand and Deliver needs to be somehow Mason Rook and Jackson Drake, like only a week ago. And here we are getting it this upcoming week.
Yeah.
EK Prosper is quickly becoming one of the more impressive guys to watch on Tuesday nights. And now we're getting EK versus Vikingo. Like that sounds mental. On top of the stuff announced. I'm
glad as well they're giving him a lot of these talking segments backstage, because I think he's starting to sound really good as well. And sometimes that's been an issue with me in NXT, is sometimes when someone's wrestling so good, they don't really allow them to develop. They're like, oh, you've got this. But I feel with Prosper, they're really trying to, through a lot of these backstage segments with either Stone or Keanu or like Legacy and those boys, like I think he's starting to sound a lot more solid as well.
I agree. Yeah, he's kind of coming across as a bit of a well-rounded character on NXT.
We go to our WWE Women's Speed Championship match. It's for the championship, so 5 minutes on the clock. Arianna Grace with Birthright on the outside, taking on Wren Sinclair, the champion. Grace goes for a roll-up attempt immediately, and a few roll-ups going back and forth as we see 90 seconds have passed. Grace is in control and delivers a nice, diving, rolling uppercut, European style here. Roll-ups from both as we have 2 minutes left on the clock. There's a big slap from Arianna. Wren does like a stand and switch into a double underhook suplex. And this is where Wren's former NQCC teammate, Charlie Dempsey, gets on the apron. And Wren's looking conflicted.
Charles.
And then punches him in the face, knocking him off the apron. Turns around into a roll-up for a near fall from Arianna Grace with 40 seconds left. Both start ducking each other's kicks. And then Wren picks her up in the spinning Alabama slam right into the final wrench, and Arianna Grace taps with 15 seconds left on the clock. And Wren Sinclair is still your speed champion.
Love a good Alabama slam into a finish of a wrestling match. Love to see it. Bob Holly, Sparky Plug, still the influence lives on in this industry. Never forget. This was fine. We've seen these speed matches on TV, and here it is on a PLE. So I almost, dare I say, scoffed when I'm like, a speed title match on a PLE? What are we doing? But I do like Wren. Arianna's really funny. I don't know if the wrestling necessarily has been super impressive. I like the birthright. They've been fine, stable mid-card characters since kind of all being together. Gives a lot of these characters some purpose, being the Nepo babies. So it makes sense, but I'd say this was my least favorite match on this show. The speed title doesn't do a whole lot for me. You're basically saying this match is not going to get going after 3 minutes. And these, I know this was 5, but like when we see people like the Axiom or those crazy, like they packed EK Prosper, who's been doing these crazy speed matches, and in 3 minutes does basically what people can't do in 10, 20 minutes. Whereas this didn't feel like that at all. This just felt like we have 5 minutes and we're going to get some stuff in it, and it did nothing for me, this match. I don't think
feel
it
this
been on
was
the show.
No, and I think the only reason it was on the show was to have both Wren and Kendal win on the same night and be champions together and be together at the end of the show. I think Arianna has improved. Like when we first saw her wrestling, she was just doing the comedy, like I don't want to be hit in the face, beauty queen thing. At least she's wrestling a bit more now, but there's still like you can't see enough in these style of matches, these 5-minute matches. So
no, but
I'd like
you can.
to see.
I just said EK Prosper.
Well, true.
In 3 minutes, I get to see the Sean Legacy. I get to see these guys doing incredible stuff, and I'm not just saying because they're doing like flips and stuff. It's just like there wasn't a whole lot of. There was a few moves from each person in this match, and then it was over. And the time limit was.
It was mainly just roll ups from both. Yeah. No, you're right.
Really,
you're right.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Maybe this isn't the style of match these two should be doing then. I don't know. But yeah, it didn't do a whole lot for me. I guess was this just the payoff to the Charlie Wren NQCC stuff? I kind of feel that was it and move on.
You should have killed me when you had the chance, Charles. I guess we get the Wren versus Charles match.
Wren v. Charles in a
book it
5-minute match.
Don't be a coward, Shawn Michaels. Book it.
We go right away to our next match. It's Dion Lennox versus Saquon Shugars. I wasn't on upNXT this week. I know I was celebrating England and Jack filled in for me, but I did really like their promo off on Tuesday. I thought both leveled up and sounded really good. So a few that I wasn't completely into, I was kind of, it kind of gave me a bit more interest going into this. And
that's fair because the story was weeks ago. Oh, Dark State, we're ex-athletes and decorated this, and you're just an indie wrestler. And I think that definitely babyface Saquon Shugars to wrestling fans who watch because they're like, oh, wait a second, yeah, we like that about him actually, and it shows that he was an indie wrestler, and it shows that you guys weren't. So I think his rebuttal did make a whole lot of sense. However, what doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, who picked this theme song for Saquon Shugars? We got to talk about it for a second. Shugars, you're on your way. I think this guy could be a star in NXT. And as someone who loves all genres of music, specifically hip hop, rap. I love making beats. Hit me up. You need beats, rappers, singers, whatever. Production is a hobby of mine. This beat sounded like it was a Kids Bop beat, trap beat made in like 4 minutes. I do 5-minute beat challenges all the times with my friends, and this was horrific. It had some girl in it going like Shugars or something like that. I was like, what is this?
It almost sounded like the beginning of Private Party's theme. Like at the beginning, wasn't it like, oh my god, it's Saquon Shugars, and then this shitty little beat.
Man, like I could pull up 10 beats I made in the last few months that would be a better fit than this. Like this made me genuinely upset. I'm like, you picked this out of all the themes that you could have picked. This sounds like a 5-year-old learning how to make a beat. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to be a dick. It's just like, what? And I was like, am I on my own here? And I opened up social media this morning, and apparently a lot of people agree. Like, wait, what is this theme song? It sounds like so ridiculous. So Shugars, I feel like he could have came out to the Candyman would have been a better fit than this. The Candyman can. Saquon Shugars. Yeah, that was my one gripe with this. I was like, you're trying to get this solo push, and you're coming out to this very weird piano 808 trap beat that lacked, unfortunately. It was not sweet.
They start the match by punching each other right away, trading blows. There's a big back body drop from Dion. Saquon is in control as Cutler and Osiris come out, returning from their attack from Shugars. Dion snaps Shugars' neck backwards on the rope and delivers a big uranagi kind of from the apron to the ring. We get some quick roll-up attempts from both, and then Shugars runs into a huge spine buster, and then we get a kind of like modified sharpshooter from Lennox as he's really wrenching the legs back here. Shugars breaks out of it and delivers a suplex into a low drop kick to the face. There's then a slingshot leg drop from Shugars for a 2 count. Saquon leaps the top rope but gets knocked off by Lennox, and Lennox delivers a huge backbreaker across the turnbuckle, like Roddy Strong style here, and then a couple of big clotheslines. And then Shugars comes back and hits an inverted splash for the win in 14 minutes, 20 seconds.
It's kind of like a Vader bomb. They didn't replay it, so I had to rewind it.
Yeah, but like more like a Vader frog splash, like doing a backwards frog splash.
Kind of like the UFO splash, kind of.
Sort of, but UFO you're facing one way and then you turn, whereas he's facing backwards to start with.
Right, yeah. I thought Dion had some cool... Sorry, I thought Shugars had some really cool offense in this. Like this flying like leg drop at one point he hit was pretty cool. Almost like Jeff Hardy style. He could call that the gum drop. If he's the sugar man. He's the candy man. There was this like flatliner thing he did that looked pretty good. I'd say the least impressive of the new moves was this finisher, actually. I thought maybe he could have used the other things as the finish instead. But they attack him pretty much instantly as the match ends and lay him out. I didn't think it got to levels of maybe I expected it. And at the end of the day, the story going in, at least in my head, is the story Dion said, you're just an indie wrestler and we're all these like ex-athletes. I didn't see anything new or impressive from Dion. Cool, you do a spine buster. Everyone does a spine buster here. I didn't think he came across as maybe impressing or getting better or something, whereas Shugars like does do these moves that I haven't seen before. So he does come across as like the wrestler of this. I thought this was okay, but again, felt like a TV match that didn't get anywhere. And maybe it's to build to some sort of gimmick, rematch where it's, weapons and stuff like that, or maybe Shugars get some friends or something to face them all. But yeah, I didn't love this.
Yeah, I was pretty let down by this because I thought, as I said, I thought they really leveled up on NXT on Tuesday with that promo segment, and I don't think they brought that same juice they had in that promo segment to this match. It felt quite basic. I didn't quite feel the hatred between the two, and I found, because I was watching the commercial break stuff, and I felt on some of the matches they didn't really slow down too much in the breaks like they normally do on TV. Whereas this match, it was very obvious to me when it was in break because it did slow down. And, you know, this went longer than the NXT Men's Championship match opening the show. And it just, I thought it dragged a bit. And I was pretty let down. And I thought the finish just kind of came out of nowhere with that splash. And it didn't look overly impressive either.
No, it looked like the most, we see people do that move all the time. It's the Vader kind of type thing. Maybe a little bit better. I was let down with this. And I do think Shugars maybe is above this. We can just pretend that theme song was never used tonight, and hopefully Tuesday just use something different and start fresh. But I do think we're going to go to a rematch with, you know, some violence added maybe down the line with like chairs or whatever, like no DQ.
After the match, Dark State attacks Saquon Shugars and hit the big toss power bomb. Dion grabs the baseball bat and attacks Shugars in the ribs and in the back. So yeah, I think you're right. I think we're getting some sort of continuation of this.
He took a Louisville Slugger to both his tires.
Yeah,
actually, this was a metal bat. Actually, it was like a softball bat, but still.
We move forward and we see Tatum Paxley being interviewed about her loss. And she says, when she first won that title, it was the first thing she did by herself. So she feels sad. She feels like she let everyone down. And this is when Kalani comes in and says, you've had so many opportunities and choked. Get over it. She says, I overcame 5 women to win the North American Championship, and I've still never had a shot at the women's title. But I never cry or play victim about it. It's pathetic. And Tatum attacks her as we're setting up this next for Tatum. I imagine this being kind of Kalani's stepping stone on the way to the women's title.
Yeah, as we kind of said earlier, maybe Tatum could be eventually done with NXT, but before we could go into some other mini feuds, and especially Kalani, who's definitely going to be champion this year. By the time, maybe in a few months, like I think Kalani will be NXT Women's Champion by the end of this year for sure. So, yeah, and Tatum main roster.
Yeah, I wonder if you do this Kendal run as like a short one before the real one. You know, Kalani could win this like quite quickly, and then Kendal being on the chase and Kalani denying her that opportunity again, maybe.
Yeah.
We go to our North American Championship match. Myles Borne defending against his former NQCC teammate. A lot of NQCC lore on this show, but his NQCC teammate, Tavion Heights.
Yeah, the guy who turned heel, but he's not really a heel a few times, it feels like.
Yes.
He's turned heel a few times, but he's also not a heel. It's okay.
Both trying to show off their amateur wrestling skills here as they're just like grappling and kind of, this reminds me of when you hear those stories of Kurt Angle who just like grapple with Brock or Vince or whoever backstage.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get a hold in. Yeah. Myles eventually does the stand and switch into a waist lock, but Tavion does the switch back to him. They grapple again, and then it starts to get a bit nastier as they're like putting each other's hands in their faces. So referee splits them up. There's a pin attempt with a bridge from Tavion, which Myles bridges out of. Myles then runs. I don't know if this is inadvertent, but they kind of both clock heads here and knock down, which looked kind of nasty. Tavion delivers some shoulders into the corner, and then there's a snap power slam on the apron from Borne. Both start fighting on the top rope and fall to the floor. We get now like this stiff punch from Tavion, and this is kind of the first like non-wrestling move as Tavion looks at his fist like, what did I do? I punched my brother. I punched my friend. He follows up with some clotheslines. There's a gut-wrench suplex from Heights, followed by a T-bone suplex and an armbar. But Myles starts to come back and breaks hold of the armbar. Tavion applies it again, but this time Borne picks him up into a powerbomb. We get a drop kick from Myles, followed by the final cut, but only a 2 count. Tavion then catches Myles with an overhead belly-to-belly on the floor and delivers an electric chair drop in the ring, climbs the top, and delivers a splash. Should maybe remove this one. Didn't look particularly great. Only a 2 count. Then a German suplex from Myles, but Myles misses the drop kick. and Heights gets Myles on his shoulders for possibly a Samoan drop or a TKO, but Myles counters it with the Borne again and retains the title in 17 minutes, 11 seconds, the longest match on this show.
The longest, and I'm sorry, the most boring match on this show. I like both these guys. Myles Borne has been impressive in the last few years, but since winning this championship, the whole thing was he's got this edge. He's got to have the edge with Ethan Page to be a champion. You got to have an edge and get a be a little nasty sometimes. Wins the title and goes back to being the most boring wrestler on this TV show. And here is Tavion Heights' friend, who also likes to do wrestling moves as his gimmick. Again, I like both these guys, but I think this was one of my least favorite things on this show. It went so long. It went longer than the main event. It went longer than all the other title matches. And not a whole lot happened in it. I was really disappointed with this. And I think that's been the case with Myles Borne for a while. His PLE matches are just fine. There's some good wrestling and he knows what he's doing. There's a power slam, some Randy Orton shoutouts. Everything else just really bores me. And what we've seen with Tavion Heights, I think this would have been way more interesting if he was just a heel. And instead they went, nah, we're boys again. Let's just be friends. They do the handshake after. It's the most boring thing. You're in a match with someone and you're not going to hit them. I don't give a fuck about this match then. So stupid. I was really disappointed with this. And again, I think Myles can bounce back. I think Tavion could bounce back and still do some good stuff. But 17, almost 18 minutes of just nothing. No heat to this. No real story to this. I really was I was let down. I was like, this was just we could have done without this 20 minutes almost of just wanted it to be over. And I feel this way every time Myles has a title. I even thought this about his match against Johnny Gargano. So like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I think it would have been better if Tavion cheated and won this belt.
Yeah, they're both dull. And
so sorry,
I thought it.
Boring.
I normally like that kind of amateur wrestling style, and you don't see it a whole lot, like the grappling, and we used to see it back in the day with your Angles and Benoits and Guerreros and whoever, where you get the sense they go, all right, let's freestyle for the first 5 minutes of the match, and then we'll go into like more traditional pro wrestling. And I thought it exposed them as them not being particularly good at it. I didn't think it was entertaining, the grappling at the start. There was no juice to this because, as you said, Tavion, like, if Tavion fully turned heel in this match and won, it would have been better. Or if Tavion fully turned heel before this match to actually add some juice and add something between the two of them, it might have been some heat to this. It would have been better, but it was just long. It was a little indulgent. It was dull. It was dry.
Why was this longer than
in the chat?
Yeah, it was dry. I see you in the chat, Dante. Thank you. It felt like, why was this so much longer than every other match that actually had story, that actually had some thing going on? Longer than the women's main event that we'll get to in a second. Like that's just crazy. I think both guys are pretty boring. And maybe a heel turn would have... I said earlier, what's Tony D's character? What is Myles Borne character? Like, what is this character? Since you won... That's what they've gotten over. And sure, like, we've understood that and stuff. But then since winning the title, again, I'll go back. Since winning the title, the whole story was get an edge. And then he did. And then just got boring as fuck again. Again, I'm only saying this because we just watched it and we're giving our thoughts. I'm not just shitting on it to shit on it. I just was genuinely like, what was this? I was really let down. And I'm like, I want something better with these characters on TV. So we need to switch up. I need this title reign to end like very soon. Give it to Jackson Drake already.
Yeah, like you come out of this and there's no interesting direction. For
no interest.
Like most matches end and you go like, okay, so we see Tatum's moving on with Kalani, and we assume Dion and Shugars is continuing or whatever. Whereas this, you go, all right, well, that's ended. There's nothing in interest for Tavion moving forwards. And Myles, the most interesting thing is going to be him dropping this title to whoever you pick.
I can't wait. I just want this to go to Jackson Drake.
Or, whoever.
Yeah. Unfortunate. I don't know where either guy goes either. Put them back as a tag team, actually. Like, I don't know what the ceiling is for both of these guys in NXT and after NXT at this point right now. Unless some big changes happen. But this was pretty stale. I was really bored.
I feared it was going to be like this as well, and was just really hoping that they, completely prove us wrong. But unfortunately,
not. You can learn how to take suplexes. You can learn how to deliver suplexes. But there's other stuff, characters, and I don't know what it was, but this was severely lacking. Whatever the je ne sais quoi, if you will. But yeah.
Myles Borne's interviewed after the match, and he says he works every day to be the best version of himself and now working on being the best champion. Myles says Tavion will be a champion one day, but today is not that day. He's had that title for 4 months now, and it doesn't matter if it's friend or foe. He's going to hold on to it for a very long time. I hope not. We cut back to the Great American Bash tailgate. Blake Howard with Owens and Dave LaGreca. LaGreca reveals that he's wearing a Kendal Grey shirt and says it's going to be a new champ tonight. Owen says, nope, I said at the top of the show, no titles will change hands, and I stand by it. And Lola will make him right, and he's not worried about it. He then puts over Tatum Paxley, saying he thinks she's very tough, and talks about groups imploding with the culling and the dark state. And he says, every time you see a group implode, it's great. But I've never turned on anyone in my life, which gets a chuckle from this crowd. Hank and Tank then come out in their honk dogs aprons and little short shorts. They're hyping up Tuesday's show, and they're hyping up EK Prosper, who comes out there.
Can I just say... There's been a few times that I'll say some stupid throwaway joke that just pops myself. And then weeks will go by and Hank and Tank will repeat it.
Right.
I'm just saying, it's happened a few times. It happened again here. A few weeks ago, I said this to you. You didn't laugh because, half the shit I say isn't very funny. And I understand that you don't have to laugh. But I joked to you when I said EK Prosper. It's in the game.
Right, yes.
Hank Ledger just came out and said, EK Prosper, it's in the game. And no one got it. I was like, I said that joke like a month ago. So good on you, Hank and Tank. If you're listening, we love you, Belly Boys.
Keanu Carver shows up and says Prosper doesn't deserve a title shot. And then some jobber cops show up to hold back Carver. And Hank goes, well, he did beat you, so he does deserve something. Carver then shoves security, which domino effects knocks Hank off the stage through the table as Keanu's being carried off, and he's saying, don't touch me. I'm no joke. Don't touch me. I will say this guy is scary. Like I do like, and because he's so green, I do kind of worry about these poor jobber cops around him just stiffen him.
Or in this case, Hank, who went through the table. Yeah, this didn't happen at our cookout yesterday, thankfully.
No.
The security guard would have gotten real mad.
Oh boy.
She was already mad at us for having 9 people.
How dare you have 9 people on an empty roof
instead of 8.
Taking up one barbecue.
I kind of wanted to put her through the table, actually.
Oh my God, she's
Mae Young style.
So Tuesday's show, we have Mason Rook versus Jackson Drake, Vanity Project versus El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. and Galeno, Jada Parker taking on Carmen Petrovich, and El Hijo del Vikingo versus EK Prosper for the Latin American Championship. Sounds like a good show.
Honestly, this Tuesday sounds like a stacked NXT. There's a lot to look forward to, a lot of good matches. So I think it'll be a good one. I think it could be better than tonight's BLE.
We then go to the main event of the evening, Lola Vice defending her NXT Women's Championship against Kendal Grey. Kendall's whole family is there. And Lola Vice's mother is there, who they say today marks 10 years of being cancer-free. So congratulations to her.
Very nice.
Very emotional day. We go to the match, and Lola's going for arm bars immediately, trying to out-wrestle, out-submission Kendal here. There's a lot of grappling, and we get some body shots from Lola. Kendal switches and delivers some body punches of her own. And this is where Kalani Jordan runs out to try and interfere when Wren Sinclair takes her out and sends her to the back immediately. This distraction allows Lola to hit a spin kick, knocking Kendal off the apron, and then follows up with a seated senton, like Rey Mysterio style, to the floor. They're back in the ring and both run into each other with clotheslines, knocking both down. Lola delivers more of her quick feet kicks, backing Kendal in the corner, hits the running hip attack twice, but Kendal comes back with a German suplex and the straps come down. She delivers a series of T-bone suplexes, but then Lola switches with a German of her own, and Lola kicks Kendal off the apron, goes for another seated senton, but this time Kendal rolls it through into a half Boston on the floor. Kendal then leaps off the barricade into a spear, and Lola leaps off the top, but Kendal catches her with an ankle lock.
Very nice.
Lola manages to counter this into an ankle lock of her own. Kendal goes for her like spinning back fist, but gets caught with a rear naked choke from Lola. We then get a spinning roundhouse to the temple from Lola, but Kendal kicks out, and Lola immediately gets on top of her with a guillotine submission. We then get them both back on their feet fighting. Lola connects with her rolling back fist, and Kendal bounces off the ropes and comes back with her rolling back elbow of her own, and both are down. And as they're both on the mat, both have the same idea, just placing a hand on top of the other for a double pin attempt, only a 2. They get back to their feet. They're trading punches and kicks. They're ducking each other's shots. And then Kendal runs into the corner, leaps off the second rope with the Shades of Grey, and pins Lola Vice in 15 minutes, 14 seconds, becoming your new NXT Women's Champion, as Wren Sinclair runs down to celebrate with her best friend, and they go and celebrate with the family as Great American Bash goes off the air.
Wow. Yeah. Great main event. The right match main evented
Absolutely.
This show for sure. I mean, we've been saying for a few months now since she's been on NXT TV. Think back to the Iron Survivor in November. Put all your stocks in Kendal Grey, and finally she's done it. I think they definitely hot-shotted her to this championship this quickly because they know that they got something good on their hands. I thought this was great. Lola Vice, Kendal, like the MMA versus the wrestling background, it made for some really good wrestling. We were talking about Tavion and Myles earlier, trying to do that like mat wrestling thing, and they made it so boring, where these two were going like band
this
for band
achieved
here.
everything they were trying to do.
Yeah, they made it look so good. These women were really like countering each other's counters into different submissions, and Kendal showing some like, MMA and submissions and everything. I thought they mixed really well together. I know we've seen like the iterations with Lola, Kendal, and everything, and the triple threats and stuff, but they have great chemistry here. There was tons of suplexes. We had the ankle lock like exchanges where they were countering each other's thing. Like, this was easily the match of the night on this show. And once again, the calling card of NXT is the women's division. We could sit here all day and look at all the little holes in the men's division that they've had. That's been the issue for what seems like a year now in NXT. But the women stay strong, and this was it. Kendal Grey is the future, but definitely is the now here in NXT. Like, that finish, everything that the Soul Snatcher wants to be, the Shades of Grey has taken over, because she hits that move, as Michael Cole would say, out of nowhere. Like, she's hit it jumping, standing, from like turning another move into it. But this one was like the Cody cutter or the Os cutter, but into the flying flatliner. So she has multiple ways that she can hit this move, and it looks good. It looked like the final blow that knocked out Lola to win it. So yeah, I'd say this show was a little rocky and pretty uneven with what kind of felt like a TV episode, but then you had this one really good standout match from Lola and Kendal Grey here. So hats off to the women with this one, because it made this show feel a little worthwhile. It made one match felt important and actually felt like a PLE match. So yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought the transitions between submissions and suplexes were really nice here. I thought they timed that like rolling back elbow sequence really well. I know they had the moment the other week with the three of them and, the pulling the arm and Kendal accidentally back fisting, which looked quite hokey. Whereas I thought they pulled it off really nicely. And yeah, I like the women's division is the calling card of NXT, but it is rare they actually headline their pay-per-views with the women's match. And I'm so glad they did with this, because this absolutely deserved to be the main event. My only nitpick, and it's nothing about the match itself, it's just booking wise, is I felt this, despite you've been telling this story for a while, Kendal going for the title, I just don't feel Lola was the right person for her to go against. I don't think it was necessarily as a cathartic moment as if she'd have defeated JC Jane, let's say, or like a dominant heel. Right. And the only, like, unless there are plans with Lola Vice to move her up imminently, I would question that decision, because I think either beating JC when she had a like reign of terror, or beating Kalani a little further down the line would maybe be a bit more impactful than this like babyface dynamic.
I think when Kendal Grey caught fire all those months ago, they were like, oh no, everyone wants her to be the champ, but we've already planned out this whole thing for Lola, so we can't. Yeah. Right? So that's why I think they pivoted to that 3-way match, and then they did give Lola the title, and then now they're going to this. I think you do move Lola up at this point. I think she's now done it. She's won the title here. I think it's time that she could be on the main roster, and I think she could get over with matches like this. Like, I think when she wrestles someone like Kendal Grey, Lola steps up. It's when Lola fights people on NXT that maybe are green, that it kind of shows that maybe it's not the complete match that we got here. But when she wrestles someone like Kendal, like, oh my God, she's only been both of these women only been pro wrestling for, okay, they both have backgrounds with like graps and stuff, but like pro wrestling for only a few years, and are putting on some pretty awesome stuff here. So yeah, I did like this match. I got to shout out Kendal Grey's gear, the team angle. Was it like the hoodie, the team angle hoodie? The hoodie sweater, yeah. And then also, I went on social media just before recording this morning and saw that she got her cake. She got her championship and let her eat cake. That's her gimmick, is she just wrestles, she does the graps, and loves cake. So shout out Kendal Grey for becoming women's champ. Hope it was a good cake.
Yeah, you boys were loving cake last night as well, weren't you?
Yeah, we had McCain's cake last night. Yeah.
Two.
Two, yeah. So this was the match of the show. This was kind of a one-match show for me. Like, this felt like a PLE, and everything else kind of felt like a normal episode of NXT with just maybe some more like in-ring action opposed to like a lot of the backstage stuff, if that makes sense. So this match saved it. So I would say kind of thumbs in the middle for this show, but I think they need to do something to make it feel like you're not just watching a Sunday night episode of NXT TV. And that would be something for the next one. We should talk about the announcement of Heatwave, that of course is going head to head with AEW All In, of course.
And this is being branded. It's in Texas, and it's being branded as like a AAA NXT show, right?
Oh, so, I think they're doing back-to-back shows. I think it's a AAA show.
AAA thing, a separate thing.
And then an NXT Heatwave. But I would imagine you do get maybe some of the crossover stuff. And that's why we have the Luchadors coming this Tuesday on NXT TV. But I would say the one thing, like, if you're trying to tell me this is a PLE opposed to just a normal Tuesday night, I think you got to do something a little different. Don't go to commercial breaks every match, especially the main event. Try something to make it look different. Obviously, having this in the PC makes it look identical to your TV show. I don't know if NXT is at the level to continue doing the on the road things, but it would help for the PLE. Like, Heatwave is somewhere else, so that will make it look different from the Tuesday night shows, because I think that was something I take away as someone who watches every Tuesday, this felt like I was watching Tuesday, if that makes sense. So
it's hard not to when you're in this studio setting, and definitely now with CW and commercials and that kind of thing. Yeah, I completely agree. I didn't hate this show. I really liked the main event. Zaria Tatum was all right. I enjoyed the opener for what it was as well. It wasn't anything special, but certainly trying to watch this thing the morning after a 5+ hour AEW pay-per-view, it puts these guys in a bad position. Like, I know not everyone watches everything, but as someone who does try and does genuinely enjoy majority of the stuff they watch, it just puts them at a disservice when I'm watching the developmental brand go head to head with like the spectacular pay-per-views AEW puts on, and especially one that went late and then trying to record early today. Like it does kind of make me have to like rewire my brain to watch NXT or main roster going into it, which gave it a disservice. But the women in the main definitely pulled it off.
Yeah, another takeaway is that the men's division still in this weird lull of like, what are we doing? What's going on? Who are the characters? Like, hopefully we can reset post this PLE and we have Mason Rook and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe somehow we can turn it around, but that's just been the broken record for a while of NXT, and that the women deliver and the men's division's kind of just flip-flopping around and not quite sure what we are doing. But it is in a tough spot. You know, them announcing Heatwave yet again going up against AEW All In. They did this last year, and I don't know, like, okay, we're sickos. We're deep in this. We watch as much wrestling as we can, and we fucking podcast about wrestling. So we're deep into the weeds of wrestling as fans. But some people who would be like, oh, WWE is doing a show the exact same time as AEW. Let's change the channel and go see what they're doing. And you look at AEW doing this cage match in a giant arena, and then you cut back to like 100 people in this warehouse. You'd be like, wait, that's WWE? And that's the competition? Isn't that like doing the disservice?
I wonder if the fact it's on free TV, like it's not on an app, it's not anything like that, that's where they feel like people might choose to watch NXT live because it's free and live, and then maybe watch wrestling after the fact, you know, like, and do it that way, maybe. I don't know. I just think I think it's a real shame. Like, as a fan, as someone who tries to watch everything and does, like, why are you doing this? And it's not, I don't think it does much damage to AEW at all. Like, AEW have such a core audience that they are going to watch that over NXT, in my opinion. And I don't know, like, how are the times, because obviously it's a UK event. I know they did the last UK All In earlier in the day. I'm not sure if they'll like, are they actually clashing like time wise or not?
I think they might. I don't know if it's going to be in the evening or not at this point. They usually are, because it's, you know, WWE. They usually do the nighttime, like the 7 p.m. So you would imagine maybe that's when it is. But so I am seeing 11 a.m. on the graphic.
11 a.m. for NXT?
That's what it looks like. I'm looking at the graphic they put up. It says Sunday, August 30th, 11 a.m. Central Time. So what's that?
So what, that's
Eastern Time?
2
p.m.? So you're going up right against it. Okay.
So All In is advertised on Ticketmaster currently for 4:30 p.m. Now that's normally the kickoff show time.
Yeah.
So probably looking at a maybe 6 p.m. UK time. So we're talking 1 p.m. in Eastern time.
I don't think, like, okay, I think since now we're going to see, like, we're recording this literally the Monday after the show last night. Like, we're going to see ratings and stuff like that. Now, we don't usually talk a lot about ratings and stuff like that. We don't genuinely care. But I would assume this does good because it's a free show on TV for a lot of people. This isn't going through hoops on I guess the last ones were on YouTube anyway, so those are free too. But I genuinely think the ratings will be somewhat okay for having a show on a Sunday night on the CW. So I would be interested to see how it did, because I think that would be better for them than trying to push this is only on a ESPN app or whatever. Like, again, NXT wasn't doing necessarily the greatest on the YouTube, but the replays is where the views started to stack up. So like,
yeah,
that's where it might be difficult for us. We pull this up on Netflix, but can anyone watch this on delay? I guess you have to have like the CW app or something. I don't know. There's too many apps to watch this wrestling. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I guess we'll see. Like,
just DVR. You know? Like,
yeah, I guess some people.
If you're still a TV person,
if you still have cable,
yeah.
If you have cable, you probably have like a recording device or something. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the going up against AEW. I know Tony Khan last night at the presser, I think it was Meltzer who asked him, and Tony was like, I think it's cute that they do that. I think it's a compliment, I think was his words. Like, hey, cool. They think they need to counter program us, then that means we're doing something good. And I kind of agree with that. Now, they announced Heatwave. That's the next PLE, right?
Yes. So looking at it, it's a double header on the same day of AAA and NXT. So AAA going live at noon Eastern time, and then NXT 4 p.m. Eastern time. Now, All In is going to go minimum 5 hours, so they'll definitely be bleed into each other. But yeah, it's
and then
it
just
sucks if you're a fan, and we haven't talked to John and Way yet. We have no idea. We're going to All In. We're going to be in London.
I have now booked. I'm excited to go. And now I'm like,
don't think we have much intention to do much work on the Monday after All In. So we're going to have to work out something. Yes.
Jack, what are you saying? I'll tell you right now, we ain't doing a Heatwave show. I'm sorry. Like, that's what happens. Like, you are obviously from London. You booked this a while back to go, not only to go to All In, but to see your family and stuff like that. And I literally booked this week to join you and to go to London and for All In. And then I get this announcement like the same day there's Heatwave. So yeah, we are your NXT friends.
Like, we'll always be your NXT there friend as well. Like,
John's going to be there too with us, and he's going to be so maybe we'll convince Pollock to do we'll have the feed while we're watching All In on our phones, double screening.
Way and Jack, you know what you're doing on Monday.
Yeah. Wei Ting and Jack doing the NXT Heatwave show on Monday afternoon. Sorry, but it's probably going to have to be that way, just because like it sucks as a fan when they make us like, wow, there's so much to watch. What am I going to wake up Monday and do this whole thing again? Absolutely not. I think it's silly to purposely counter program, but. Anyways, thumbs in the middle for me, the show. Story as it tale as old as time. The NXT women's roster, kill it, steal the show again. And the men's roster, we don't really know what's going on. There you go, in a nutshell of NXT.
Well, that brings up to a close. We are going to be switching gears now and moving on to the Poisonrana feed. So we will be going live in just a moment there. So youtube.com/@PoisonRanaPod. If you're listening to the audio podcast, please like and subscribe Poisonrana, and you'll be able to find our thoughts on Night of Champions and Forbidden Door over there. But that brings us to a close on NXT Great American Bash 2026.
Appreciate all the postmarks and the NXT friends. We will be back. Poisonrana.ca for everything else. That is it. That is all. Take care. Goodbye. Happy 4th of July and happy Canada Day.
Ahoy!
Peace.